You've been working hard, putting in effort, staying patient, and still wondering, when will it happen? When will that breakthrough come? When will all this unseen work finally pay off? But let me tell you something powerful today. Before you get paid on earth, something happens in heaven first. Because every action, every tear, every sleepless night where you kept believing even when nothing moved, was not unseen. Heaven was watching, taking notes, storing the evidence of your faith. You see, in heaven there is no instant reward system. There's a divine review, a process where your consistency is tested, your patience is measured, and your intention is weighed. You're not just being delayed. You're being prepared. Imagine a farmer. He plants the seed, but he doesn't dig it up every morning to see if it's growing. He trusts the soil, and heaven is your soil. The roots of your blessings grow in the invisible before they bloom in the visible. Maybe right now you're asking, why is my reward taking so long? Because God doesn't pay in moments. He pays in multiplication. He doesn't give small returns for big faith. He waits until the harvest is complete so that when it rains, it pours. Before money hits your bank, before the promotion arrives, before the opportunity opens. Heaven conduct a final check. Is your heart ready for what you prayed for? Are you humble enough not to forget where you came from? Are you wise enough to manage what's about to come your way? Sometimes, delays are divine security systems. Heaven locks your blessings until your character matches your calling, because blessings in the wrong season can break you instead of build you. So, don't quit when it feels quiet. That silence is not rejection, it's inspection. You're being approved in heaven for the thing you've been asking for on earth. Every not yet is really heaven whispering. We're still preparing it. Your reward isn't lost. It's loading. And when it comes, you'll realize why it took so long. Because heaven never pays cheap. It always pays in full. So keep showing up. Keep believing when nothing moves. Because right now, even if you can't see it, something divine is happening in heaven before you get paid. Here are some key points related to this. Every unseen effort is being recorded and rewarded in heaven. Delays are part of divine process, not a denial. Heaven tests patience, consistency, and intention before releasing blessings. You must be ready for what you're asking for, character before cash. The invisible preparation always precedes visible manifestation. When heaven finally pays, it pays in full. Not halfway. Every unseen effort is being recorded and rewarded in heaven. And that's something most people forget when life feels like silence. You see, when you work hard, when you give your best, when you keep your heart clean even when others play dirty, it's easy to feel invisible. You start to wonder, does anyone even see what I'm doing? But heaven does. Every single time you showed up when no one clapped, every time you forgave when you could have fought back, every time you pushed forward when your heart was heavy, those moments were not wasted. They were witnessed. Imagine for a second that heaven has its own accounting system, not made of money, but of moments. Moments of faith, moments of resilience, moments where you chose peace over pride. Each one gets recorded in your spiritual ledger. And while the world measures success by what's seen, heaven measures it by what's sown. Think of the single mother who works late at night, praying that somehow her kids will have a better life. Nobody sees her tears as she balances bills and hope, but heaven does. Think of the young man who refuses to take shortcuts. Even when dishonesty could have made things easier, he might lose opportunities on earth, but he's gaining divine credit in heaven. Life isn't keeping score the way heaven is. Down here, people celebrate the results. Up there, heaven celebrates the effort. It's written somewhere in the unseen. Nothing done with pure intention ever disappears. It might seem forgotten in the noise of the world, but in truth, it's being multiplied in silence. You may not see the angels taking notes, but they do. Every act of kindness, every quiet prayer, every good deed no one thanked you for, it's being written into your story. One day, when your breakthrough comes, it won't just be about luck or timing. It'll be the divine sum of all those invisible moments added up and released at once, like the rain that falls after years of hidden evaporation. Your reward doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from the invisible faithfulness that's been rising all along. Remember what the Bible says, Your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. That's not poetry. That's a promise. The unseen work is the real work. The unseen hours are where character is built. And heaven always honors character over convenience. So if you're in a season where it feels like nobody notices your struggle, where your progress is quiet, where you give your all and still feel overlooked, don't be discouraged. The silence of heaven is not absence. It's observation. One day, the same people who doubted you will see what heaven already knew. You'll walk into a blessing that looks sudden to others, but was actually years in the making. Because every unseen effort was being counted, every hidden act of faith was being recorded, and every tear you shed was being stored. Not forgotten, but saved, until the day heaven decides it's time to pay you back with interest. Delays are part of a divine process, not a denial. And that truth can change the way you see everything happening in your life right now. Because let's be honest, waiting hurts. Waiting when you've done everything right, when you've prayed, worked, stayed consistent, believed, and still see nothing moving, feels unfair. You start to question yourself, question your timing, maybe even question God. But what if the delay isn't punishment? What if it's preparation? What if heaven is building the strength in you to carry what you ask for? Sometimes the delay is not a no. It's heaven saying, not yet. You're not ready for the weight of what you're asking me to give you. Think about the caterpillar in the cocoon. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. Stillness, silence. But inside, transformation is taking place. Wings are being formed. Strength is being built, and purpose is being shaped. If the caterpillar could break free too early, the wings would be too weak to fly. The delay isn't meant to punish the caterpillar. It's meant to empower it. And that's how life works too. You might not see movement, but something is changing in the unseen. God delays not to deny you, but to develop you, because what comes too fast usually fades too soon. I once heard someone say, the blessing that arrives too early becomes a burden. That's why heaven waits until your roots are deep enough to hold the fruit you've prayed for. Imagine planting a tree and demanding fruit in a week. Impossible, because while you see no growth above the ground, the roots beneath are working overtime, building a foundation that can sustain the future harvest. The delay isn't a pause. It's protection. It's heaven making sure you don't collapse under the very thing you prayed to carry. Think about Joseph in the Bible. He had a dream of greatness, but before the crown came the pit, the prison, the betrayal. Every delay in his story was actually direction. Every closed door was redirection. He wasn't being denied. He was being refined. And when his time finally came, he was ready, humble, wise, and strong enough to handle the throne. Maybe you're living through your pit season right now, wondering why nothing's working. But heaven hasn't forgotten you. Heaven is preparing your stage. The truth is, if everything came when you wanted it, you wouldn't value it. Waiting creates appreciation. It teaches you stewardship. It builds depth, because the longer you wait, the greater the gratitude when it arrives. Every second of waiting is heaven whispering, I'm still working behind the scenes. So don't mistake silence for absence. When nothing is moving on earth, it usually means everything is moving in heaven. You're not being denied your destiny. You're being aligned with it. The delay is your divine training ground, shaping your patience, stretching your faith, and building your strength for what's coming next. Heaven tests patience, consistency, and intention before releasing blessings. And that's the part of the journey most people try to skip. Everyone wants a reward, but few are willing to endure the refining. Because heaven doesn't just hand out blessings. It tests a heart that's asking for them. It's easy to have faith when life is flowing, when doors are opening, and when everything you touch turns to gold. But what about when the door stays locked, when the applause stops, when no one believes in you but you? That's when heaven watches the most closely, not to punish, but to see if your faith was rooted in results or in trust. Patience is the first test. It's like standing in a storm with no umbrella, knowing the rain won't last forever, but not knowing when it will stop. Some people give up right before the skies clear. But heaven rewards those who wait without complaint, those who say, even if nothing changes today, I'll still believe. There's a story about a sculptor who spent years chiseling a single block of marble, and when asked how he could stay so patient, he said, I saw the statue inside the stone. That's what heaven does with you. It keeps shaping, cutting, refining until the beauty inside you matches the blessing you've been praying for. Then comes consistency. Because what good is patience if you can't show up daily? Heaven tests how committed you are to your purpose when the excitement fades. Can you keep watering your dream when no one notices the effort? Can you stay disciplined when the results don't show? That's the true exam. The farmer who plants a seed doesn't stop tending the soil just because nothing's sprouting yet. He trusts the process. Heaven watches your consistency the same way. Every time you choose effort over excuses, you pass another unseen test. And then, the hardest test of all, intention. Why do you want what you're asking for? Is it to prove someone wrong, to show off, or to truly serve a purpose bigger than yourself? Heaven weighs your motives before it releases your miracles, because blessings given to the wrong heart can become curses. Sometimes, heaven withholds what you want until your why becomes pure. It's like giving a powerful car to someone who hasn't yet learned to drive. It's not safe. The delay is a rejection. It's protection, waiting for your heart to align with your purpose. When you finally pass these three, patience, consistency, and intention, something shifts. The same doors that once resisted you suddenly open with ease. The same paths that felt blocked become clear. And you realize that the waiting wasn't wasted time. It was training time. Heaven wasn't ignoring you. It was preparing you. Because the blessing is never the real test. The becoming is. When you prove that your faith won't fold, your effort won't fade, and your motive won't corrupt, that's when heaven says, now they're ready. You must be ready for what you're asking for. Character before cash, purpose before position, depth before display. Because the truth is, blessings without preparation can become burdens. Everyone prays for increase, for more money, more opportunities, more recognition. But not everyone asks for the strength to carry what they're asking for. Sometimes, the reason your blessing hasn't arrived yet isn't because heaven said no. It's because heaven is still shaping you into the kind of person who can hold it without it breaking you. Think about this. If you hand a child a heavy treasure chest, the weight will crush them, not because the treasure is bad, but because their arms aren't strong enough yet. That's how heaven works too. It waits until your spirit can carry what your mouth has been asking for. Character is a silent currency of heaven. It's what determines how long you will keep the blessing once it arrives. We've all seen people rise fast and fall faster. They got what they wanted before they became who they needed to be. Fame came before foundation. Wealth came before wisdom. And the very thing that was meant to elevate them ended up exhausting them. Heaven doesn't want that for you. So when you say, God, I'm ready, and nothing happens, it might not be denial. It might be heaven whispering, I love you too much to give it to you too soon. There's a story of a young man who prayed for success every day. He wanted to lead, to be known, to be celebrated. But all he kept receiving were small, hidden responsibilities, helping others, solving quiet problems, working in the shadows. Frustrated, he asked God why his dreams weren't happening, and God said, because I'm training your heart before I trust your hands. That's the essence of preparation. Heaven wants to see how you handle the small before it hands you the great. If you can't stay grateful when you have little, how will you stay humble when you have much? Look at David. He was anointed to be king, but still sent back to shepherd sheep. That wasn't a downgrade. It was development. Because how could he rule people if he couldn't first care for animals? How could he lead a nation if he didn't learn patience in the pasture? Every hidden season, every humble task, every quiet assignment is heaven's classroom. The invisible preparation always precedes visible manifestation. And that's the part of the process most people overlook because it doesn't shine, it doesn't post well on social media, and it doesn't get applause. It's the season where nothing seems to be happening, yet everything important is taking place behind the curtain. It's the time when you're working, learning, healing, and building in silence while the world thinks you're standing still. But in truth, the invisible season is where heaven shapes the masterpiece. Just like an artist sketches in pencil before painting in color, heaven sketches your destiny quietly before it reveals it publicly. Every great story starts in the shadows before it stands in the spotlight. Think about how a seed works. You bury it in the soil, and then darkness. No light, No sound, no sign of progress. If you didn't understand the process, you'd think nothing was happening. But inside the dirt, the seed is breaking open, roots are forming, and new life is preparing to emerge. The breaking is necessary for the becoming. The invisible work is what gives strength to the visible bloom. The same is true for your dreams. The time you spend studying when no one's watching, praying when no one's listening, staying consistent when no one's clapping. That's the invisible preparation. And heaven never forgets those hidden hours because that's where authenticity is born. People often say they want their breakthrough, but what they really mean is they want recognition. Yet, real breakthroughs happen when no one's watching. The athlete trains before the championship. The singer practices before the concert. The builder lays foundations before the walls go up. The preparation stage may not look glorious, but it's the most sacred part of the process, because what's done in silence is what gives your success its stability. There's an old saying, if the roots are deep, there's no reason to fear the wind. That's what invisible preparation does. It deepens your roots, so when the world sees your rise, you don't fall with the first storm. Imagine a diamond before it shines. It's just a piece of rough stone, hidden deep under pressure, unseen and unvalued. But the cutting, the grinding, the shaping, that's the invisible process that gives it its brilliance. Without that unseen refining, the diamond would never reflect the light it was created to carry. And that's you too. Heaven's invisible work in you. The pressure, the pruning, the quiet lessons, they're not punishment, they're polishing. So if you're in a season where no one notices your effort, where it feels like you're underground, don't lose heart. The invisible is where heaven invests the most. What feels like waiting is actually working. The roots are digging deep. The foundation is forming, and soon what's been hidden will bloom so powerfully that no one will believe it happened overnight. But you'll know the truth. It didn't happen suddenly. It happened secretly. Because everything great begins unseen before it's revealed for the world to witness. When heaven finally pays, it pays in full, not halfway, not in fragments, not in moments, but in abundance that overflows. The wait may have been long, the nights restless, the tears countless, but when the appointed time comes, the reward is so complete that it makes every struggle make sense. Because heaven doesn't settle its debts cheaply. It gathers every unseen act of faith, every hidden sacrifice, every quiet moment of trust, and releases it all at once in a way that leaves you in awe. It's not just a blessing, it's a restoration. It's like rain falling after years of drought. The land doesn't just get wet, it comes back to life. The flowers bloom again, the rivers flow again, and what looked dead begins to move. That's how heaven pays, with resurrection power. You might have thought you lost time, that the delay destroyed your momentum, but heaven has a way of redeeming time. What takes 10 years in human hands can take one moment in divine timing. There's a verse that says, I will restore to you the years the locust has eaten. And that means nothing truly lost stays lost when it's been offered with faith. Heaven stores your obedience like seeds in soil. They don't die. They wait for rain. And when that rain comes, it doesn't fall in drops. It pours. Think of someone who's been planting goodness for years. Helping others, staying honest, remaining kind even when life is cruel. For the longest time, it seems like it's all for nothing. But then suddenly, doors begin to open, opportunities start chasing them. People start recognizing their worth, and everything that was delayed begins to align at once. People around them call it luck, but it's not luck. It's divine payment finally released. Heaven never forgets an account that's been faithfully filled with integrity and patience. It's like the story of Job. He lost everything, his health, his wealth, his family, yet he refused to curse God. He waited. He stayed faithful. And when heaven paid him back, it wasn't a simple refund. It was a full restoration. The Lord blessed the latter part of Job's life more than the former. That's how heaven operates. It multiplies what you lost, doubles what you gave, and beautifies what was once broken. So when your reward comes, it won't feel like payback. It will feel like purpose. It will make you realize that every delay, every disappointment, every detour was part of the divine calculation. Heaven doesn't just give you what you prayed for. It gives you what you grew into. And when it happens, it won't be small. It won't be quiet. It will be loud enough for everyone who doubted you to see that faith was never foolish. You'll stand in the middle of the blessing and whisper, "Now I understand," because when heaven finally pays, it pays in full, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. So maybe right now you're standing in that in-between space, not where you used to be, but not yet where you want to be. You're working, believing, holding on, wondering if heaven still remembers your name. Hear me, it does. Every prayer, every sacrifice, every sleepless night has been seen, heard, and recorded. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared. Don't give up now. Don't slow down now. Don't let the silence fool you, because right when it feels like nothing's happening, everything is. Heaven is aligning, arranging, approving. Your name is being whispered in rooms you haven't entered yet. Your reward is being wrapped. Your breakthrough is being built. Your promise is being processed. Keep showing up. Keep believing. Keep trusting. Because heaven never misses a payment. And when it pays in full. You've sown too much to quit now. You've cried too much to stop now. You've come too far to turn back now. This is your reminder. Faith is not about waiting for something to happen. It's about believing something is happening even when you can't see it. And when it finally shows up, it won't be late. It will be right on divine time. Your support means everything. If this resonated with you, please share, and subscribe. And remember this. Keep your heart steady, your hope alive, your faith unshaken. Because your reward is closer than you think. And when it comes, you'll understand the truth I've been telling you all along. Heaven never forgets. It just waits for the perfect moment to pay you in full. Thank you for being here. See you in the next one.